Number 1. The ancient Egyptian afterlife. The ancient Egyptians believed death was not an ending but a passage into another existence, one that mirrored the world they already knew. After death, the soul traveled through the underworld known as Duat, facing trials and dangers along the way. At the final stage, the heart of the deceased was weighed against the feather of Mayat, the symbol of truth and balance. A heart lighter than the feather meant the soul could pass into the field of reeds, a peaceful afterlife resembling earthly life at its best. A heart weighed down by wrongdoing risked being devoured, erasing the soul from existence entirely. Number 2. The Norse concept of Valhalla. In Norse mythology, the afterlife depended heavily on how a person lived and died, particularly in battle. Warriors who fell bravely in combat could be chosen by Valkyries and brought to Valhalla, a great hall ruled by Odin. There they spent their days preparing for Ragnarok, the prophesied final battle between gods and giants. Those who did not die in combat often went to other realms, such as Hell, which was not a place of punishment, but simply a quieter, more ordinary afterlife. This belief system reflected a culture that placed enormous value on courage and honor in the face of death. Number 3. The Greek underworld. The ancient Greeks imagined the afterlife as a vast underground realm ruled by Hades, separated from the living by rivers such as the Styx. Upon death, souls were ferried across by Charon, provided they had been properly buried with a coin for payment. Most souls drifted into the asphodel meadows, a neutral and somewhat dull existence. Those who lived exceptionally virtuous lives could reach Elysium, a paradise reserved for heroes and the blessed. Meanwhile, those who committed serious crimes against the gods faced eternal punishment in Tartarus, a place built specifically for suffering and consequence. Number 4. Hindu reincarnation and samsara. In Hindu belief, death is not a final event, but one step within an ongoing cycle known as samsara. The soul, or Atman, is considered eternal, moving from one body to another across countless lifetimes. The nature of each new life is shaped by karma, the accumulated weight of past actions and intentions. The ultimate goal is not simply a better rebirth, but liberation from the cycle altogether, a state known as moksha. Reaching moksha means the soul finally unites with the divine, free from the repeated pattern of birth, death, and return. Number 5. Buddhist rebirth. Buddhism shares the idea of rebirth with Hinduism but interprets it through a different lens, without a permanent, unchanging soul passing from life to life. Instead, what continues is a stream of consciousness shaped by karma, much like a flame passed from one candle to another. Each rebirth can occur in different realms, ranging from suffering to bliss depending on past actions and mental states. The ultimate aim is to escape this cycle entirely by reaching enlightenment, known as nirvana. Nirvana represents the end of craving and suffering, not a place but a complete shift in the nature of existence itself. Number 6. The Christian vision of heaven and hell. In mainstream Christian belief, the soul faces judgment after death based on faith and how that faith shaped a person's life. Heaven is described as eternal communion with God, often portrayed as a state of peace, joy, and reunion beyond earthly limitation. Hell, by contrast, represents eternal separation from God, frequently depicted as a place of suffering and regret. Some Christian traditions also include the concept of purgatory, a temporary state of purification before entering heaven. These beliefs have shaped centuries of art, literature, and moral teaching across much of the Western world. Number 7. The Islamic belief in paradise and hellfire. In Islam, death marks the beginning of a journey through barzakh, an intermediate stage where the soul awaits the day of judgment. On that day, every person's deeds are weighed, and their fate is determined by both their faith and their actions during life. Those granted entry into Jannah, or paradise, experience eternal peace, beauty, and closeness to God. Those who reject faith or commit grave wrongdoing may face Jahannam, a place of severe consequence for their deeds. Throughout Islamic teaching, mercy remains central, with the belief that God's compassion can outweigh human shortcomings for those who sincerely turn back to Him. Number 8. Chinese ancestor worship in the courts of the underworld. Traditional Chinese belief blends Confucian respect for ancestors with Buddhist and Taoist ideas about the afterlife. The dead are thought to pass through a series of underworld courts where their actions in life are reviewed by judges before rebirth or further consequence. Families often honor deceased relatives through rituals, offerings, and festivals, believing that ancestors continue to influence the fortunes of the living. Burning paper money and other symbolic items is a common practice meant to provide for ancestors in the spirit world. This blending of traditions reflects a deep cultural emphasis on family continuity, even beyond death. Number 9. Japanese beliefs in spirits and ancestors. Japanese views on the afterlife draw from a mix of Shinto and Buddhist influence, creating a layered understanding of what happens after death. In Shinto thought, the spirits of the dead, known as kami, can remain connected to the living world, watching over descendants in sacred places. Buddhist influence introduced ideas of rebirth and judgment, often blended seamlessly with native Shinto practices. Annual festivals such as Obon are held to welcome ancestral spirits back for a temporary visit each year. This combination reflects a culture where the boundary between the living and the dead is treated as soft rather than absolute. Number 10. The Aztec afterlife. For the Aztecs, the afterlife was not determined by moral behavior, but primarily by the manner of a person's death. Warriors who died in battle and women who died in childbirth were believed to join the sun in the sky, considered among the most honored fates. Those who drowned or died from causes related to water were thought to travel to Tlalocan, a lush paradise ruled by the rain god. Most other people faced a difficult journey through Mechlin, the underworld, navigating obstacles over several years before finding final rest. This system reflected a worldview deeply tied to nature, sacrifice, and the forces believed to sustain the universe. Number 11. African traditional beliefs and ancestral spirits. Across many traditional African societies, death is often viewed less as an ending and more as a transition into a different kind of presence within the community. Ancestors are believed to remain spiritually active, capable of guiding, protecting, or even disciplining their living descendants. Respect for elders and proper burial rites are considered essential, since a poorly honored death can disrupt the balance between the living and the spirit world. Many of these belief systems are deeply localized, varying widely between different ethnic groups and regions. Despite this diversity, the connection between ancestry, identity, and continued spiritual presence remains a common thread. Number 12. Maori and Polynesian beliefs in the spirit world. In Maori tradition, the spirit of the deceased is believed to travel to the very tip of the North Island, a place called Cape Renga, before departing the physical world. From there, the spirit leaps from a sacred tree root and journeys onward to the ancestral homeland, often associated with the spiritual realm of Hawaii. Across other Polynesian cultures, similar beliefs describe the soul returning to an ancestral origin point across the sea. These traditions are closely tied to navigation and migration, themes that shaped much of Polynesian history and identity. Death, in this view, becomes a final journey home, echoing the voyages that defined how these island cultures came to be.